Urethane cement is a common flooring system typically installed in food and pharmaceutical production facilities. It is resistant to abrasion, chemicals, heavy traffic, and thermal shock, making it a preferred flooring system for many industries. As with every flooring installation, the first step is to set up the mix station. The mix station needs to be within close proximity to electricity and the area receiving the urethane cement. Additionally, the ambient temperature of the location should be around 70 degrees. Every great mix station is equipped with the appropriate PPEs and tools. The PPEs for urethane cement includes safety glasses, dust mask, face shield, earplugs, gloves, and knee pads. The required tools include chalk line, chase wheel, hand grinders, 6-gallon bucket, shot blaster, electric mixer, cart, trowel, porcupine roller, and prep master. After setting up the mix station, the installers will begin to prepare the floor. A floor that received thorough preparation will have a great adhesion with the urethane cement. Begin by scraping any debris or loose buildup that may be clinging to the surface. After the loose debris is removed, abrade the entire floor using a shot blaster. The shot blaster is great for newly poured concrete floors. Although shot blasting will leave railroad patterns throughout the floor, urethane cements are heavy and thick enough to prevent the blemishes from telegraphing. If coating removal is required, then use the Prep Master. The Prep Master is a large planetary grinder that uses rotating diamond discs to remove coatings from the substrate. Additional prep work includes keying the edges for the transitions and drains. A key transition will require 4 steps. First, snap a chalk line for the end of the transition. Second, using the chase wheel, cut a 1/4 inch deep into the chalk line. Third, then finally taper the interior lip of the cut with the 4-inch hand grinder. Finally, complete the transition by beveling the interior lip with a 7-inch grinder. Keying the drains requires only 1 step, but is just as important as keying the transitions. Using a 4-inch hand grinder, bevel the substrate surrounding the drain so that a 1/4 inch of the drain is protruding from the substrate. Keying the transitions and drains allows more urethane cement to be applied in these areas, creating an anchor which greatly reduces floor failure. Transition strips are required when installing a floor wider than 35 feet. If wider, dissect the floor so that each section is less than 35 feet. This will allow the installers to sustain a wet edge during the installation. Brush contact cement onto the floor and on the bottom of the transition strip. Then, carefully apply the transition strip on top of the contact cement to create a chemical bond. Once the transition strips are applied, tape the floor on the outside of the transition strip. This will protect the floor from overspill during installation. Mark the joints with 3-inch nails. Spray paint the nails orange to increase visibility. Although necessary, this does cause a trip hazard, so be mindful of your surroundings when installing the urethane cement. The third step involves assigning job duties, organizing and separating material, setting mix markers, and preparing the mix. The job duties include the mixers, the runners, the installers, and the install leaders. The mixers need to be experienced with the urethane cement, as it is vital that the material be mixed thoroughly. The runners deliver the mix to the installers, and the installers pour, trowel, roll, and broadcast the urethane cement. The install leader is in charge of signaling for the next mix. Signaling for the next mix requires experience and familiarity with urethane cement so that it doesn't sit in the bucket too long and so that the wet edge doesn't begin to cure. Separate the material on the mixing station. This helps keep the mixing area organized, which helps reduce installation errors. Installing a material gauge markers will ensure that the urethane cement is being applied at the appropriate thickness. Typically, urethane cement has a coverage rate of 32 feet at 3/16 inch thickness. Using this information, calculate how many kits you'll need for the area and mark the walls to gauge the coverage rate of the installation. Finally, before starting the mix, ensure that all of the material, equipment, tools, and personnel are in the proper location. Urethane cement will begin to harden quickly, so it is important that the install goes fluidly. The mix will involve a resin, hardener, and aggregate. This material is pre-measured, so measuring will not be required. Begin when the install leader signals for the mix. Pour the hardener into the 6-gallon bucket. Using a brush, clear the entire pail of all the hardener. Then, pour the resin into the hardener. Again, using a brush, clear the entire pail of all the resin. Mix the resin and hardener for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, add the aggregate to the mix, and then mix for 90 seconds. Be sure to scrape the electric mixer against the walls of the bucket. This will ensure that all the aggregate gets thoroughly mixed into the liquid. After emptying all the material, collect the pails and move them out of the way. This helps keep the area clean and also helps keep track of how many mixes have been made. Once the mix is complete, the runner will add the mixes to his cart and deliver the mixes to the installers. The installers will intercept the mix from the runner and then pour the mix against the wet edge of the previous mix. After pouring the mix, trowel the mixture across the floor and blend it into the wet edge of the previous mix. Additionally, trowel the material into the transition. Trowel the material around the drain. And trowel the material into the keyed edge. Once the troweling is completed, roll over the troweled area with the porcupine roller. And when finished rolling, broadcast the sand onto the floor. When the broadcasting is completed, remove the tape. Once completed, the urethane cement will be coated in sand and will require a full day to cure before proceeding with the final steps. Once cured, the floor will still require sweeping and vacuuming, diamond grinding imperfections, detail drains and transitions, apply a cementitious aliphatic urethane top coat, remove joint marks and cut joints, and fill the joints with polyurea. Installing the first coat of urethane cement requires a lot of attention to detail. Be sure to follow the prep and installation steps in the appropriate order so that the finished product can perform to its fullest potential.